All week, I've been looking forward to this conversation because I've really been wanting to talk about the fact that Vanity Fair put all men on the cover of their Hollywood issue. And then we finally get there, right? And the conversation's here. Lainey is here. Vinson Cunningham is here. And what's really fun about this is Lainey makes a point that I had not thought about before. Lainey said that even though the cover is all men, there's something about the way that this cover is constructed and is shot that is actually for the female gaze. It is for women. And this whole idea of the internet boyfriend is actually like the thing that comes through the most as you look at all these men on the cover. I hadn't thought about it that way. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation. So you know what? Let's push right into it. Hello, both of you. Hi.
Great to see you.
It's nice to have you here. It's nice to be here to talk about men because we surely don't talk about men enough. That's what I'm gathering. Lady, I'm going to start with you on this one. For anyone who's not seen this edition, the Hollywood issue of Vanity Fair, I would bring the image to life for us. What do we see on this cover?
So there are 3 covers. In the past, in the Hollywood issue, Vanity Fair has done like a one group shot and then you fold.
Yeah. You keep unfolding and more people
that's
appear.
Right.
Yeah.
And they don't seem to have done this year for their first ever all men issue. There are 3 different covers. So one of the covers features Jeremy Allen White, A$AP Rocky, Glenn Powell, Callum Turner. I'm going by memory right now.
You have them memorized.
Amazing.
Yes.
And Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah.
And then the next cover is all like British men. It's Jonathan Bailey, sexiest man alive, Riz Ahmed, Harris Dickinson, and Andrew Garfield.
Again, by memory.
And then
That's wild.
The third cover is Michael B. Jordan, Austin Butler, and Paul Mescal. And the image of Austin, Michael B. Jordan, and Paul is on a Hollywood backlot. It's your classic sort of very classic Hollywood shot. The British guys are like, I don't know, they're in a tea party in the garden under an umbrella or something. And then Jeremy Allen White, A$AP Rocky, and that group, they're on the beach. So very like Malibu, Hollywood adjacent. So those are the visuals. Not taken in a studio, which is also a bit different from what a Vanity Fair Hollywood issue looks like. They typically have it in a studio. It's closed. The lighting isn't dynamic. So this is outside. It's fresh. And yeah, let's hear it for the boys.
Let's hear it for the boys is often the thing that I'm saying. But also, I like these images were really striking to me, again, because this is who I think of as the new generation of men who will become, the sort of like the big names in Hollywood. And they've all been having wonderful years and wonderful moments, But when it comes to the particular brand, or I guess style of masculinity, Vincent, let me ask you, when you see these images or these particular choices, what do they have in common, do you think?
To me, these are pictures that like sort of demystify. It's not about, and this goes, the essay that accompanies the issue, Otessa Mashveg, talks about like, these are more internet boyfriends in their styling than it is like sort of matinee idols. They're not
the Brad Pitts of the world. Yeah.
They're not the Brad Pitts. They're not the Rock Hudsons. They're not, Michael B. Jordan is probably the closest in this mix to that, like hunky guy, but they're all like, some of them are styled in tuxedo tops, but jeans. It's kind of an admission that we no longer look at celebrities as these distant figures and no longer look at masculinity as this sort of stone wall. It's a sort of, it seems to be trying to talk about a new vulnerability and a new way of constructing male celebrity identity.
Lately, I think we've been kind of missing, like sort of a gigantic male star for some time. I think like there has been kind of an absence in that front. Like we've had, you have like the Tom Cruises and the Ben Afflecks and the Matt Damons. And then you have what you might call sort of a middle class of celebrity. And I think like a lot of these men are ready to sort of make the next jump in their career to that level. What's your sense of these choices here? What do they have in common, you think?
Well, when you say ready to make the next leap, I think that would apply to almost all of them, with the exception being Michael B. Jordan. So, and I think the industry would acknowledge that. And in a way, if we're talking about these men in this issue as a fraternity, then he would be the leader, right? He would be the one who has who's made
He's doing the
independent
hazing.
films. Yeah. He's made independent films. He's made Hollywood blockbusters, superhero blockbusters.
Yeah.
He's a director, like a
Yes.
successful director. He can do romance. He can be, dramatic and sad. So if there's a leader who emerges from this club, it would be Michael B. Jordan. And I think that the rest of them are trying to get to that MBJ level and yet don't find him intimidating. I think that's one of the subtle messages that is coming out here, is that Michael B. Jordan, while he's clearly the class of the class, he's not so intimidating and unapproachable where he wouldn't also still be hanging out with these guys. I think also what they have in common is, in the past, male movie stars seem to be detached and not in community. And what they're trying to say is, hey, these guys would totally hang out with each other and talk about video games and talk about what books they've read. And cleverly, they made videos too. They released videos of each group of cover stars showing YouTube videos to each other. So there seems to be kind of like a new frat house vibe, where instead of in the past, where if you hung out in the frat house, maybe some really untoward things would be happening. Now the movie stars hang out in the frat house and watch YouTube videos and get nerdy. It's kind of cute.
Okay, first of all, it's really worth sitting in this for just a moment, because it's really valuable to watch these videos that came out at the same time as these covers, because the big sort of internet joke is that men just want to show you their load-bearing YouTube videos. They go this YouTube video is really the one that's gonna change your mind about stuff, and then you see Austin Butler sitting down next to Michael B. Jordan, who's like, I'm gonna show you some anime, and Austin Butler was like, yeah, I guess that's my life. I that is what's happening today. There's an everymanness to it that is honestly, to me, stands really in contrast with what some of those men have managed to achieve over the past couple of years. You mentioned Michael B. Jordan last year directed Creed, the most recent Creed movie. Then this year, of course, carries Sinners, because there was a lot of anticipation of will Sinners work as a film, the Ryan Coogler film, and of course, it not only does it work, it becomes this gigantic sensation that was completely unexpected, blows everyone's expectations out of the water, largely thanks to this incredible performance by Michael B. Jordan, where he plays twins. I mean, there is something remarkable about Michael B. Jordan's ability to carry a movie, and at the same time, just be like, hey guys, I just want to show you some anime. I just want to hang out with a bunch of friends and show you this anime. There's something about that accessibility, Vinson, that to me is actually really striking, particularly when I think about what a leading man is supposed to be. There's this idea of they're supposed to have 95 million abs, the jawline should just absolutely just wreck every camera that they ever sees. There's something about that expectation, and none of that was present here. And I think that to me was the thing that sort of stood out the most. Did that stand out for you as well?
Yeah, I think there is a way you can think of the kind of movie star you get, the kind of leading man you receive in your time is an amplification or an exaggeration of what men are like generally, right? That, there's a certain kind of substitution that this person is supposed to do that, yeah, they're aspirational, but also you can kind of imagine yourself in your shoes. And so if it's the YouTube dork, if it's the anime sharer, I think that tells you something about the way men live, socialize, think about themselves today. Recently, kind of famously, there was this book, Scott Galloway wrote this book about sort of how to be a man.
Yeah.
And it speaks to a yearning of almost, like we're saying, these guys are almost there trying to become the next class. It almost seems like we're in the middle of a whole generation of men who are still into their late 30s, early 40s, trying to become whatever they think a capital M man is. And maybe these guys are sort of symptomatic of that.
Yeah, and I think it's actually more compelling to me that they don't arrive at that notion. I think it's much more interesting to be in the process of becoming than to go, here's a fully formed man, capital M man that, Hollywood has sort of had for decades and decades. This is much more compelling as an image to me. Vince, I want to ask you, because you see a connection between the celebration of this kind of masculinity and some of what D'Angelo was sort of working through for decades. I just want to ask you a little bit about that connection that you see there.
Yeah, it was kind of just immediate for me. I saw these covers and I thought, wow, what a shame that D'Angelo didn't get to come along now. D'Angelo, the
Hmm.
great soul singer, one of my favorite musicians of all time. Famously, he had the
Recently died. Yeah.
untitled, recently passed away, the untitled "How Does It Feel" video, where he's just like in all of his masculine glory. He's the most ripped guy ever. Every
Yeah.
inch of him is like jacked, etc. And he really suffered after that because he was sort of treated as an object by his audiences in a way that he just wanted to share his music, and he never signed up for this role. And it seems like someone like him who could just share the music nerd that he is. Speaking of the fraternity
Yeah.
the analogy, maybe he's the guy just sitting in the corner, with a hacky sack on one side and a guitar on the other. That's who he really was inside, and couldn't
Yeah.
be that. Andrew Garfield is really interesting in this connection. He's talked a lot about the grief that he felt after his mother died. He's
Yeah.
been able to be really vulnerable in ways that male leading men in music, movies, etc., just couldn't really be, talking about the sort of personal valence of their art.
Hmm.
So there are some people, I think, that were left behind that this moment might have suited a little bit better.
Hmm. I think there's, to me, something that's standing out, Lainey, which is like this idea of, if we are still sort of in the shadow of Me Too, right? We're still sort of dealing with the consequences of Me Too in Hollywood to a certain extent. And like that is at this point a 8-9-year-old story, but also has had several consequences. And one of those consequences has been several question marks around what is a safe kind of masculinity, right? Like what is a safe kind of masculinity look like? Men who we can trust, men who we can put on the cover and sort of be willing to celebrate without having to worry about like what other life are they also maybe living. And we kind of arrive at this moment, and not only does the Vanity Fair Hollywood issue have all men, but there's no women on the cover. To me, that felt like a really interesting and pointed choice of saying, like, we're trying to reconstruct what a safe masculinity might kind of look like. But did that choice, was that an off-putting choice, or did it actually kind of feel like, yeah, it's the moment to sort of engage with this question right now?
I personally didn't think that it was an off-putting choice, and the reason why is because even though it was an all-male cover, I felt like it was made for the female gaze.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like a lot of these cover stars who were featured are internet boyfriends, as you said
Yeah.
earlier, and internet boyfriends are created by women.
Hmm.
So even though this was a cover about masculinity featuring only men, the silent partner in this issue was women and catering to the women's fantasy of what she wants her modern movie star to be. Vincent, you mentioned
Hmm.
Andrew Garfield and his really beautiful expression of grief. On the flip side of that, in a more lighthearted way, Callum Turner recently went viral for talking about how he and Dua Lipa fell in love. And it wasn't, him ripping off his shirt or like rescuing her from a burning building. He was like, oh, yeah, we were sitting next to each other and talking about books. And we found out we were reading the same book at the same time and we were on the same page.
Yeah.
That is a romance novel. That is a
That's a
meet
meet
cute
cute.
in a
Yeah.
rom-com, right? That's what
Yeah.
women want. That's the fantasy that's written by women. Jonathan Bailey appeals to queer people, and straight women want Jonathan Bailey. And you mentioned Sinners. Well, Elamin, the audience that propelled Sinners to become the box office hit it was women.
Hmm.
In week 2, when it basically did not drop from week 1 at the box office, it was because women showed up to the tune of almost 60%
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that that movie stayed at number 1 at the box office. Women showed up for Sinners, and that is the audience really that will be reading this magazine. So when we
Hmm.
talk about new masculinity and how it's performed, in the past, I feel like masculinity was performed for men.
Hmm.
This issue is arguing that performing masculinity is most effective and modern and maybe successful when it's performed for women.
Vincent, I want just like your reflections on that, because I think also picking Ortessa Moshfegh to be the writer of this piece, I think is a very also compelling and interesting and revealing choice on that front. So just your reaction to what Lainey was saying there.
I think that's so perceptive and good. But it also makes me think of, okay, what is the internet boyfriend like and what might it mean for the movies? Well, I think the internet boyfriend is a little bit more of a Netflix and chill guy than a go to the movies guy. And so maybe this is also a sort of reflection of the differing ways in which the movie industry wants to present itself. What are the ideal conditions under which you might want to engage with this kind of guy? Maybe it's a calling back to the theater, but maybe it's also like, we can meet you where we are. And maybe that's in your living room right after you have a screening of various video, YouTube videos. You ride the algorithm with me for a while. Then we can just put on the latest Netflix movie. So it might also speak to sort of modes of presentation as well.
I having said all of this, I am yet to, in the year 2025, see a single movie that has Callum Turner in it. And maybe that will change. It's hard to say. We'll see. And in the meantime...
Eternity.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm working on it. I'm working on it, Lainey. But I appreciate your time. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for being here today. You guys are the best. Thanks again.
Thank
You're
you.
the best.
Thank you. Vincent Cunningham writes for The New Yorker. He's also co-hosts its weekly podcast, Critics at Large. And now he's got his own Substack, Quiet Storm. He's in New York City. Lainey Louie is an eTalk senior correspondent and the founder of LaineyGossip.com. She's in Toronto. My name is Elamin Abdelmahmoud. This show is called Commotion. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.